Hey everyone, Todd Wilson. It's a great day for Business Atlanta. We are in our sponsor spotlight segment of the show, where one of our valuable sponsors is interviewed by the crew and guests of It's a Great Day for Business Atlanta. Today's sponsor spotlight segment is brought to you by Open Door Business Workshop and Lori Todd.
Thank you, Todd. This morning, our sponsor spotlight guest is Leah Henderson, coach for professional and personal development for Leah Henderson and Associates. Welcome.
Thank you.
Let's give it up for Leah. Leah, we're glad you're here at the show today, and I personally think you're just awesome, and you know that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. During the member introduction segment of the show, you said you were from?
Oh, I don't think I said. I'm from but I was born in Louisville, Kentucky. I only lived in Louisville for 3 days, so.
So, I don't know if that constitutes being from. That's just kind of being deposited,
Well,
isn't it?
I'm not from anywhere. I moved almost every year for the first 17 years of my life. So I'm really not from anywhere.
She's mobile.
She's very mobile.
That's a whole other story. You don't even know there.
I had a couple of thoughts that came in, but I had to edit them real quick, so you have to excuse me. So why do you do business in the Atlanta area?
Because I love Atlanta.
Why?
Well, I graduated from high school in Atlanta. This is where we landed when I graduated from high school. I went to college at Georgia State University. Yeah, go Panthers. And it's just such a great place to be. There's so much going on in Atlanta. There's the people are wonderful. The bounce back from a recession and the heart of people here in Atlanta. They want to do something. They want to innovate. They want to have their own businesses. There was just something on TV last night on the news that said, this is where people are starting businesses, and it's really inspiring to the rest of the country. So it's a great place to be, and it's a great day for business in Atlanta.
Hey, thanks, Lori. Leah, a couple questions for you just to get your business out there and get you talking. What made you get involved in your business?
Well, as I shared, when I very first started my own business, well, this isn't my first business. The first business that I had was Arcarachi and Henderson Marketing Communications. We were an advertising and marketing communications firm in Philadelphia, catering to the pharmaceutical industry. And we had one niche, and that was diabetes. And we worked with insulin, and we had all different kinds of products that went with diabetes. When I stopped doing that, I decided I really just enjoyed people, and I enjoyed their stories and helping them. And so I stopped, so we sold our company, and we went into, and I went back to school, got a master's degree in counseling, because I really enjoyed helping people. After I moved to Atlanta, I realized that I didn't want to go backwards. I didn't want to look at people's past and why things happened, but I wanted to help people move forward. And that's why I decided to do coaching. And I absolutely love what I do. I wake up every morning just really thrilled to be doing it. So, and it's just everything has rolled along, moved forward in such a great way. So
I really appreciate your passion and excitement about what you do. I mean, that's huge. What kind of customers are you looking for?
The clients that I have are mostly people who own their own businesses or are in the entertainment industry. I seem to have a lot of people who are creatives. People, and by that I don't mean just creative, but people who want to innovate. The difference between creativity and innovation means that when you create something, it has a purpose, that people can use it and it makes life better. And whether that's a piece of art or it's a television show or a nonprofit that benefits people in the, some way, it's being able to take something that you feel really good about and creating it and making it bigger and better until the dream that you had is now actually on the table to become a reality.
Okay, and this is a great place in Atlanta to be in the middle of that type of innovation, isn't it?
It really
it's
is.
just a lot of melting pot, a lot of different cultures and people here. So what makes you different from your competition?
The thing that makes me different from my competition, and this would not be my choice of saying this, because I would say, oh, it's my experience, oh, it's my background. I would say, oh, well, I have such a unique combination of things that, you know, in my background, I've moved a lot, and I'm flexible, and la-di-da. Every single time I ask one of my clients, what do you say makes me different? They said, you have this uncanny ability to hear what I'm not saying, and then you don't even think outside of the box. You blow up the box. You have a way of thinking of things that takes me exactly where I wanted to go, but I was afraid to say. So,
give me an example of that.
Well, let me see. The most exciting thing is, of course, what's on my table right now. Can't talk about it just yet.
Top secret?
Well, not top secret, but it's just proprietary right this very second. But it's a big thing that's getting ready to happen. But the one thing that I guess I can think of is that I have an entertainer who's a client, and really got stumped after the recession hit, and things, people were pulling back, not hiring, and so we began to talk about, because he had just done this one thing for such a long time. And so we began to talk about, well, what if you did this? And what if you branched out into that? And what if you took this over here? And all of a sudden, he's got more work than he can handle doing what he loves to do, but in a lot of different ways.
Awesome. LK, do you have some questions?
I do. Leah, what advice do you have for new small business owners, such as our studio audience or people that may be looking at the video right now? Could you give us some advice for that?
Absolutely. One of the things that I would say to any new business owner is you want to have really a clear idea, laser-focused idea of where you want to go. That doesn't mean you've got it all set out, every little piece of it, but you've got a goal that you're really going for. The other thing is that you have practical steps that you can take. And so when your mind is creating and you've got all these wonderful things and people are coming to you and saying, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? Well, that's great. Do you have a practical way to make that happen? And I guess the third thing would be, don't ever be afraid to say yes to an opportunity. Yes is a great thing to say. And when you're masterminding with somebody, I can't stand it when you're masterminding with somebody and they go, well, that's not really going to work. Or, I don't think that'll work because the greatest thing that you can say after somebody gives you a piece of advice or somebody's masterminding with you, the best phrase, yes, and what if we did this? So,
Great. Thanks.
Leah, what's the one thing you want the small business owners to take away from this interview? If they take one thing away, what gem is it?
well, I think the gem would be that you say yes. When you are looking at opportunities, don't be afraid to say yes. You might not actually do it, but you'll take an opportunity to discover something. You might take an opportunity to take an idea that someone gave you, and it's not exactly what you were looking for, but say yes, and what if I did this? And just begin to take it to that next level of creativity, of giving that idea some wings and some feet, and let it dance around in your head. Let it sing a song. Begin to really let that thing begin to breathe and feel it. And, if it's not what you want, that's okay. You can notice it and let it go. But who knows what you might take away from that, because a week from now, somebody else will give you another idea, and you go, yes, and then all of a sudden, what you said yes, and to last week combines with something this week, and it begins to gel together.
Your passion is always something that is inspiring to sit and listen to. Thank you so much, Leah. Does anybody have any questions for Leah?
Hey, Chris. Thanks for joining us. Do you have a question for Leah?
Yes. Leah, the question I have is, as you're networking, you run across people and you come across ideas that are great, and you're trying to think, well, how can I incorporate those ideas into you know, what it is I'm building, because I'm intentionally building something. And then you run it across people that you trust, and they shoot it down. So you're trying to, you don't understand it completely, but you know you've got a hold of something that you're really passionate about, and you know it has possibilities. But how do you deal with the naysayers?
Oh, wow. Naysayers.
That's 2 mics.
I do have 2 mics. It's intimidating. What I would say to you is that when you're dealing with, you need to teach people to say yes and. One of the things is that when I have a naysayer in my life, I generally don't go back to that person. If they're telling me no, 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 and I'm just trying to mastermind. Now, when I'm looking for good advice, and I really need the truth, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, Leah. Don't do that. You know what? I need people who will be honest with me. So I like that. But if you're brainstorming and you know you think you've got a great idea, you need to teach people to say yes and. It's an improv technique, actually. It's an improv game where you might want to play that one night with friends around, you know, the table and say, okay, I'm going to throw out an idea here. The next thing whatever I say, you say yes and then add something to it. And you begin to and you can do that with teams in your office. You can get to do it with, you know, people in your life, your kids, your spouse, whoever, and just get them into that idea of saying yes and building.
Okay, that's fantastic. Little mini coaching tips by Leah Henderson. How do we get in touch with you?
Well, best way would be to email me, Leah, Leah, at leahhenderson.com, which is LeahHenderson.com.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Leah.
Thanks so much for having me.